Today is a story of when big planes meet short flights. We'll be flying on the A380, wow, a giant in the aviation world, on one of the shortest, if not the shortest, regularly scheduled flight with this plane. We'll check out Asiana's business class product and poke our heads in a new lounge in Narita. Is this a case of big eyes, or will we be pleasantly surprised? Come along and let's find out. Good morning, minasan, and welcome back to another video. This is the start of Japan's Golden Week holiday, which means it's time for my annual trip to Korea. Yes, I always love visiting Korea. I'm looking forward to today. We got a super one coming up. We'll be flying with Asiana on one of their A380s in their business class. Wow, we got the second deck, lounge action. Hopefully check out one of the newer lounges in Narita. And the observation deck in Terminal 1 is finally open, so there's lots to do today. With the merger of Asiana into Korean Air by the end of 2026, this will be my last opportunity to enjoy their business class product. And I want to see how the A380 compares with the A330. From my experience, the soft product's done incredibly well, but the hard product can be tired and dated. And is that the same for the A380? Well, we'll have to jump on board and find out. The flight is set to depart at 12:50 p.m. So come along as we go from A to B, and let's enjoy for the last time Asiana's business class. We are beginning this journey in Narita's Terminal 1 South Wing, which is home primarily to Star Alliance carriers. Speaking of which, with Asiana's merger into Korean Air, there are already subtle changes and deadlines already propagating. In terms of point redemption, December 1st, 2026 is going to be the last day to redeem Asiana operated flights using Air Canada's Aeroplan, and I believe this also applies to other Star Alliance frequent flyer programs. Also in Incheon, Asiana has switched to Terminal 2 earlier this year, but I'll save that for a future video. Luckily they haven't changed terminals in Narita, and I made my way to the H counters for today's flight. And although it appeared a bit congested, I was able to sneak through to the business line and get out in record time. Wow, so the award for the fastest check-in this year is going to go to Asiana. I think it was 30 seconds. Passport, print out the boarding pass, here's the lounge map, done. Amazing. With the extra time banked at check-in and Gold Track at my disposal, I was able to check out the observation deck, which had recently been renovated, and I think they did a great job. Lounge access or not, the renovations make it a nice place to kill time at the start of your trip. Besides the larger windows now to view and enjoy the planes, there's some patio seating and a few foot baths. On a nice day with a drink and some fried chicken from the Lawsons inside, this isn't a bad way to spend your last few moments in Japan. Alright, let's talk airport lounges. There's a couple to choose from in Narita Terminal 1. I believe there's two ANA lounges, there's one United lounge, and the newest one, which opened up in 2025, is a Turkish lounge, which is the one closest to my gate and the one we're going to try out today. Worst case Ontario, if it's too busy, we'll just pop our head into ANA. By the way, this is the tunnel which connects the satellite area. You can tell it's 300 meters. I'm the only one in here. The Turkish lounge is located on the 4th floor, one floor higher than departures, and occupies the same space as did the ANA Suite Lounge, which is now located with the ANA Lounge around the 50s gate at the start of the tunnel. First up is a shower to freshen up after the 3-hour pilgrimage to the airport. After collecting the shower card, I made my way to the shower room, which was set with toiletries and other necessities. Slippers are provided. I really don't think they're useful here, but I'd recommend to pocket them and use them for another flight. Shampoo, conditioner, and soap are provided in the shower. Alright, not a bad little shower. The only thing you can say is the temperature was hot, then cold. It kept kind of bouncing around, so just keep that in mind. We're going to have a shower here, but let's go ahead and grab something to eat. I started with a couple cold options, and the sushi unfortunately really wasn't that good. The freshly prepared pita, however, first time trying it, was my favorite item of the day. I arrived in the lounge as the Turkish Airlines flight was departing, and I'm sure the lounge was quite full not too long ago, with the staff now trying to switch over the items. Besides the cold well, which was stocked with salad items and small sandwiches, there are a few baked items such as muffins, and some hot items, and a couple soup pots, one being a tom yum soup, love it, but I didn't try today. The opposite side to the food has the drinks, and there's a few dispensers for the pop, juice, tea, and beer, and a selection of cocktails and wines. I heard Turkish coffee is fantastic and decided to check it out. There's a particular coffee maker for it. But I'm not sure about this. Are the coffee pots supposed to have the dried coffee of the last user? I guess I'll pass. I would try a cup of Turkish tea, but unfortunately they were cleaning it while I was there, so it was regular green tea for me. The lunch options after the changeover looked and tasted much better, and I favored the items in the cold well over the hot options. The lounge does get bonus points for the great views, and we were able to catch our A380 already at the gate. Overall, I found the lounge not a bad place to relax before the flight. Afternoons in Narita are not terribly busy, and of course the lounge wasn't either. But it'd be interesting to see how the lounge performs in the evening with all the long haul flights coming and going, simply because the lounge really isn't that big, and the narrow area around the food may be congested with higher passenger volumes. Anyway, let's head down and head to the plane. This afternoon we're departing from Gate 46, and as we make our way to the plane, as always, I'll take this moment to welcome new viewers to the channel, and I invite you to subscribe for continued aviation and travel related content. To the gate beside us was Air Seoul, so why not check out what this budget carrier is like. We flew with them a few years ago, and the fried chicken was a solid call. Yum. Also, if you're watching within the first 7 days, it'd be awesome if you could hype the video, which will help the channel's visibility on the platform. The hype feature is available when watching on Apple or Android devices, and it doesn't cost a thing. Many thanks. Today we'll be seated in 23K, the second last row of business class on the second deck, where slippers, a menu, and headphones were provided. Before takeoff, our meal choice was confirmed. The options today were a ginger chicken with rice or the beef cheek. I wasn't quite sure which to choose. They both sound really good, don't they? But the CA was able to show me pictures on her tablet, and from there, I decided. The regional business class product is slightly slimmed down compared to their long-haul flights. One difference, which is easily identifiable upon boarding, is lack of an amenity kit, not that one is needed, and there is no pre-departure beverage. Asiana has 6 A380-800 aircraft in their fleet. The 2-deck plane has 495 seats over 3 classes, with 17 lavatories on board, 7 on deck 2, and 10 on the bottom floor. The first deck consists of 12 business class suites and the economy class, while the second deck is mostly for their standard business class product, the one we're on today, with a small 14-row economy class section at the rear. Our aircraft is 9 years old, being delivered to Asiana in December of 2016. Just a quick note as we're taking off, one benefit of the second deck are the added storage bins by the window. However, apparently, it has to be pointed out that stowage on top of the bins during takeoff is ill-advised, as this passenger is about to find out. Oof, lucky. Maybe the customs card will stay put. Nope. It will take 2 hours and 8 minutes flying to reach Seoul this afternoon. On these 2-hour flights, there's no time to lose, and the service started promptly with an oshibori being handed out to all guests. I went with the ginger chicken dish as this was the Korean-inspired option, and although it looks good, we're about to hit some turbulence, figuratively speaking. The drink cart followed after the meal, and there's a selection of drinks, all of which can be found in the menu. I'm not a wine person myself, and I settled on a beer to accompany my meal. The components of the meal that I thought were well done was the bright and fresh salad, which included a healthy portion of pastrami and Italian dressing. For dessert was a coffee hazelnut cake, which was fantastic and had a mousse cream topping, and I could easily have gone for seconds. The main course, however, just wasn't there today. The rice was dry and clumpy, the chicken was overcooked and tough, and the whole dish was cold, and I gauged it less than lukewarm. The sad part was the flavors were there. The citrus ginger sauce was really tasty, along with the vegetables. It appeared to be a matter of proper preparation on board, which seemed to be rushed. Of course, the meal was no means unedible, and I did my part to minimize food waste. Besides the meal being cold, I felt the service was simply rushed. Before finishing the meal, they came around with coffee, and at the time I still had half a beer to go. Overall, I was, disappointed with the meal service. We had so much better in the past. If you recall, we had the tenderloin last time, and the expectation and that excitement simply wasn't met. I wonder if it's a timing issue because the A380 is just such a large plane, and this is such a short flight, and there isn't enough time, leading to a rush and mediocre service. Sad. With the meal service all wrapped up, we can take a look at the hard product. The cabin is laid out in a 1-2-1 seating configuration. In the rear business class cabin, odd number seats provide the seat closer to the window, while in the forward cabin, rows 8 and 10 will provide the best viewing experience. The seat is quite comfortable and is fully reclinable using the control panel on the side. When the seat is fully reclined, there's enough space to put your shoes underneath and a bag off to the side. I found the width at the top very good, and there's plenty of space at the other end. Each pod is provided with a side table, and a reading light, audio jack, and USB port are located nearby, and then there's an assembly for the literature pocket which has the duty-free catalog and a drink holder. A power outlet can be found near the floor. One thing that I found lacking in these pods is storage space for personal articles, particularly for the center seats. Sure, the window seats have the cubby, but I saw nothing in lieu of this for the interior pods. The table which we had our lunch on is in front of us and folds down once unlatched. The table is large and sturdy and rotates inward, allowing you to get out of the seat while you're eating or doing work. The front of the pod has the IFE screen. It appeared to be stocked with a fair number of titles, and I settled on the sitcom that 80% of airlines carry, The Big Bang Theory. The interface is a bit dated and there's no in-flight Wi-Fi, but hey, at least you can call your seat neighbor. With the design of the pod, the remote's going to be your best bet to navigate the system. And above you have the standard reading light. We've enjoyed the business class on their 747, the A330, and now the A380. And I'd say their business class product is fairly consistent throughout. They played safe with the colors, and the product doesn't appear to have the most up-to-date design and features, but it's comfortable and provides you with a relaxing environment to enjoy your flight. For this route, they only sell business and economy seats. The 12 business suites on the first deck can be purchased as an upgrade, which was offered to me at, I believe, 15,000 yen, and obviously I didn't bite. I wanted to fly on the second deck. I poked my head in the second floor economy class before we took off, and this is what you can expect if you're flying in that class. The 2 seats by the window with the extra stowage space is a solid choice if you're flying economy. The front of the plane has the stairs which leads to the first deck, and there's a bar lounge area, at least that's what it's called in the seat map. The screen is worthwhile to check out for connecting passengers. If they provide snacks or other amenities or items on long-haul flights, so let me know in the comments. I came to the front of the plane to check out the lavatory, which is one of the largest, if not the largest one, on the plane, and it doesn't disappoint.
Wow, it's so big.
The size probably rivals what many have at home, including myself, and this is definitely the largest washroom I have ever been in at 30,000 feet. In addition to the mirrors, one will find some amenities like toothbrushes and mouthwash, and a seat is provided when changing clothes comfortably, especially useful on the long-haul flights. And 2 hours later, we are just about there. Not only the conclusion of this flight, but the conclusion of our business class travel with Asiana. Overall, I was fairly pleased. The check-in process was as quick as it could be, the staff on board were pleasant, and we had a relaxing flight over to Seoul, even with the hiccups in the meal service. I understand when flying in a premium class, the expectation is higher than when in economy, but things happen from time to time and you have to kind of just go with the flow. We flew with them several times in the past, so at least the service which we experienced today doesn't appear routine. Perhaps it may be because the A380 is so large and the time constraint on these short flights. They add increased pressure to the staff to complete the service. They really have 60 minutes, maybe 90, to complete everything between takeoff and landing. For some context, this route is shorter than the Brisbane to Cairns route, which we enjoyed with Virgin Australia, and there's only 8 seats in that business class. Between the A330 and the A380, I would choose the A380 for the added comfort of the pods, but would choose the A330 for the better meal experience. What will the A330s have in store once the merger is complete? I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and find out. This was a return trip with the outbound in business and the return in economy, and the total price came out to 74,000 yen, and about 50,000 yen was for the business class seat. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on Asiana's business class product on their A380, and I'll catch you in the next video.